This is an overview of work done in Celestial in March. First, major upgrades and features. We had a couple features in the backlog that we dealt with. So here we have a leaderboard. This is another in an effort to give gamification and player agency and ownership to the game. So there's now a account registration step where you choose a username that hasn't been chosen before. And the different players within now have ELO that goes up and down as you play against other players. In addition, there is a match history, which shows the last 50 games filterable that you've played against different players, including against guest players. You can see the deck lists and copy them. You can see the player's name and ELO and the match results. And also there are now associated in-game currencies, which currently do nothing, but this is sort of a trial. So there's a daily quest where you play against other players that incentivizes being involved and has been helpful for us having a reason to play against each other. And it's now also integrated with Stripe. This is still in sandbox mode, but you can purchase gems. This is serving to lead into the minimum viable business product for this game. In line with that, we're thinking about what cosmetics players might want, either earned through playing and getting the sort of earned reward here, or through purchases if they want to. Beyond that, the game is still similar to how it has been. A new addition is hotkeys. When enabled, it allows you to press 1 through 6 to quickly select or deselect a card or play a card, to pass, to open up the different stacks that are information that you might want throughout the game. This is the in-game match scene, but there's also other hotkeys for things like if you have a standard, cancel, or accept, it's escape and return. So this was a nice quality of life and allows for both quicker testing and better user experience for players who play a lot. Switching over now to one of the branches in development is a UI redesign. This is going to make it easier to add in card text, allow for card text to change dynamically, such as a card could remove all card text or add in a new line to something. Now, the keywords we found weren't really what players wanted. So here, morning has a little associated icon, but it takes up space and it looks a little bit weird, takes away from the art. This is in line with a trend towards the art being what we center as opposed to the card border. Also, the cost now has the same blue color as in-game the breath down here, and the same shape. So it's a little bit more iconography in the right direction. This is still a work in progress, but this was one of the UI redesigns that we've been trying out, showing where different cosmetics could be and where the primary information could be. This is also geared towards supporting the smallest screen size for laptop, which is 1024 by, I think, 700, including the header for whatever browser you're in. Here the cards are animated a bit nicer. Depending on your screen size, they come in or are farther out more. The status icons are up here. There are little pets that we're trying out as one cosmetic element. This is still being tweaked. There's also the thought that wins could be a cosmetic in the bottom right that could grow up, such as a flower blooming between 0 and 5. And this gives like a visual indicator of how the game is going. Is my opponent about to win? Have I barely gotten any wins? That sort of thing. So these are cosmetics that we're considering. There's also the username and ELO that go below when you're playing against players, below each of the avatars. These were the main features added. There's another branch where we tested a whole different UI. So this was a UI redesign that we tried out. There's a full notion breaking out every use case of the different screens, and this addresses a couple that our current design doesn't. Namely, it shows the removed from game, and it shows who has priority. They're highlighted in yellow. It also does a better job of distinguishing when it is nighttime, when the story is being performed, versus daytime. Also at the time, these passed to see which player has passed weren't visible, and here it's more cohesive that they pass, and then these count the score at night. However, we did A/B testing with 10 people. We got feedback from them, and only one person liked the new one as opposed to the old one. I think even after we iterated on having the opponent have cards in their hand so that it doesn't feel like solitaire, it was still the case. So we did fully mock this up. This didn't end up working, and the direction that we're headed in is more something like this. This has final chrome, but I can hide this. So the final chrome we're probably going to get rid of, but it's going to get tweaked. But the idea is here you have a few different cosmetics. You have for the player personalization, these pets that could be between you and the other person. There could be things like butterflies, cats, anything that like pops up and then disappears. And you don't just have one, but you have some amount that you can use to personalize your experience. This also gives something visually moving around on the board, which is nice. And most games have some subtle thing like that. You can still focus on the gameplay, but it's not just a totally static screen. Something that we're going to try soon. We have old mocks of animated versions of the cards, just for one card. A couple different art directions that we could take. We're going to try more of those as one major cosmetic. And then this is what I was saying about the winds relic. And also it's been a plan for a while to have the past be this cloud that comes across the sun, further doing the imagery of, you're looking up towards the sky, there's clouds coming in, that sort of makes sense, and then once they're both there, the round is over and it's nighttime. This progression feels good vibes for the game. Obviously a lot of this doesn't have the final details to it, but over the last month, that is what we've been working on. So match history, ELO, leaderboard, in-game currency, ability to purchase currency, daily quests, a lot of slight quality of life tweaks, and then a variety of attempts at UI. Something like this is probably a direction we'll try out because we've gotten more positive feedback around it, and it also makes development easier. Beyond that, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 meetings with people about general strategy, market analysis, and advertising the product. So we are thinking about monetization structures for similar games, talking to advertisers that would run campaigns for it. I still need to find a better UI solution than me doing it because there's final details that I don't feel comfortable doing, and I haven't done that correctly yet. So the search for more UI continues. There's still a backlog of things for 0.7. There's pilots of cosmetics that we're trying out. There's final art for the new batch of cards, which are all of the development cards. There's a good new 40 cards that are close to being done that will get art. Other steps in 0.7, single player, more material, and trying out different things. And beyond that, I believe that's largely it. Then planning to do another triage of things to finish the end of Q2 before hardcore focusing on mobile. The full server rewrite worked well at making the code dry, just higher quality. So now there isn't a server and a client that have separate code bases that have redundant versions of the same thing. It's instead a mono repo that's much easier to use. We need to do a pass for performance at some point soon. So I was thinking, like, is this the right tech stack? And it feels close to being able to support the variety of computers that we want it to in terms of screen size and how strong your computer is. I believe that it can do that, having looked at parallel or sort of other games of similar demand from the engine. So currently, we don't support all of the computers that we would like to, but I think with the work done to improve performance, we would be able to. I've done some of that just to see that it's possible. There's other work that I know that improves things. This is things like each of these cards is currently a separate image. They could be all one sprite sheet. There are some assets that we load in that are wildly the wrong size, such as the animation, which is almost the same size as everything else. There's ways that the JS code gets loaded that's inefficient, that sort of thing. So all of this is coming up next month, and what we did this month felt like it went well. We had a tournament. We continued out of players. Oh, also, so I now have a deck of cards with the illustrations that on the back have the QR code as a much better way to introduce people to the game when I tell them about it. This has been quite effective. I don't actually know how many people have come on in this way, but it's definitely between 10 and 20. And it's much easier for me to say, hey, try playing this thing, than describing a URL to them or sending it to them. And it remains with them as like this really cool, I have a card, it looks like a Magic card, or whatever other trading card game they like. So that's the work that's been done, more work to come.